Okay, guys, listen, we have to get beyond this moment. Okay, please, just let them call it an Xbox. Okay, just let them call it an Xbox. They clearly want that. Just let them have it. Let them have it. You and I know what it is. I know what it is. You know what it is, right? It's an Xbox. That's it. No caveats, no asterisk, no addendum. It's an Xbox. Because the conversation of whether or not it's an Xbox is not interesting. What is interesting is a conversation now that it is an Xbox. So what? What happens next? Because for as much fewer as this device, the ROG Xbox, the Asus ROG Xbox Ally series of devices, the standard and the X, yeah. Um, what a name. Anyways, as you know, devices that have been talked about a lot. It seems that a lot of people are more interested in the gender identity of that PC handheld rather than the actual performance or the benefits. And of course, with the price being thrown in the way, people have a lot of reservations around, the whole Xbox handheld thing. In fact, I have been surprised, in reality, by the amount of reviewers, people that should have been better in the know, whether it's like tech YouTubers. I even saw a thing by Game Rant where they say that I regret buying the Xbox Series Ally X. So let me try to see that. So regret buying Xbox Ally X. Let's go and find it. And the thing that I saw when I saw this article, which we will go through together now, is that it was by the managing editor of Game Rant. I honestly thought when I first read the title that surely this was like a fan that had submitted their personal experience for discussion with the community, because I'm like, how would you not have known though as a managing editor of Game Rant? Shouldn't you know? So these journalists were also taken aback, but it is what it is, right? It is weird. But I've seen so many people be surprised by the fact that it's not an Xbox. But again, you guys know the thing that happens is one thing, and that is usually not the most important thing or the most interesting thing for me. The most interesting thing for me is typically what has the community response been. So let's take a look, okay? First of all, if you do not follow Keith Move on social media, please do. This guy's brilliant. He's amazing. Such a source of delight. Please go ahead and follow Keith Move. But over here, he said in this tweet, 2 years ago, when I unboxed the original ROG Ally, I called it an Xbox handheld and I got no hate for it. 2 years later, Xbox releases an Xbox branded ROG Ally, and the world turns upside down trying to fact check, sorry, that it's not an Xbox. Okay? So I responded to this, okay, which I think is quite logical. Okay, so I responded to this particular thing and I said, yes, because there's a difference between you, an individual, calling something whatever you wish, and a company doing it. For example, I can say that my bicycle cures cancer and nobody cares. But if the company was to make that claim, they will find themselves in courts. So that to me is the kind of logic that goes along with that. Because the idea before this is an Xbox became a thing, I distinctly remember people like Doc Dark saying that he had an Xbox console, his handheld, whether it was ROG Ally original or another handheld, was his Xbox portable, and his desktop PC was his Xbox Pro. That's what he called it. And people made fun, people made jokes, people thought it was silly, people thought it was endearing, whatever it was, but it was confined to his personal, circle of influence, and it was perfectly fine. Nobody's going, the wider public does not care if you call your thing. I could call my phone a PlayStation and nobody cares. But if Sony takes my phone, puts a PlayStation logo on it, and then says that's a PlayStation, yeah, people are going to have a lot more of a response to that. And to me, that just makes sense. But you see, you go to people like Kids Move because you simply enjoy the fallout. Because boy, oh boy, believe me, people were not particularly happy with this particular tweet. But it's been a part of the whole discussion. Kids Move has gotten pushback, Doc Dark has gotten pushback, and it's been fascinating to watch, right? At the end of the day, listen, people, I'm telling you this genuinely. The company calls it an Xbox. It is not the same kind of Xbox as the other Xboxes, but it is an Xbox. We can't deny it, okay? Because it's not just a thing that they point to in an ad campaign and say, this is an Xbox. Like, they'll point to my PC and be like, this is an Xbox. Okay, well, that has less level of validity than if they had released my PC themselves and like Xboxified it with at least like an Xbox power button. Then it is officially an Xbox. Listen, guys, it is what it is. Accept it even though you don't like it, you know, like in French, apparently in Cameroon there's this saying that says j'accepte et mon cœur reste ouvert, and basically meaning that I accept it and my heart stays open. So that's it, just accept it and let your heart stay open. The ROG Xbox Ally is an Xbox. The ROG Xbox Ally X is also an Xbox, and yes, those Xboxes are different from the previous Xboxes, but that is the world we live in now. So now what do you do? Well, apparently, from a lot of people I've seen, and this is just going to be one article and one example of it. There's other content creators that have created content about it. If I, in fact, let me see if I can load up the bookmarks while I am here. By the way, the scroll button in my mouse has decided that it's not going to work anymore. So this is going to be very tedious to do because, you know, yeah, we are. Okay, I found it. It's okay. It wasn't too bad. Oh, and I need to put my headphones just to make sure that we can both hear what he's saying. So excuse me if my voice changes a little bit to compensate for that. I'll try to keep the same voice level. Okay, but first let's go to the creator because he is not a person that is paid for this. This is just a person that is, you know, living his life and being excited about products. So let's go ahead and show that on screen and let's have a quick listen.
Microsoft had like a real huge chance to like do something crazy with this device. Well, short answer is I was wrong. I can't even believe I'm gonna say this, but I hate this thing. Bruh. I shit you not. It took me an hour. 1 hour of setting this up to get to the UI. While I'm setting this up, I start hearing people, YouTubers, this is not an Xbox. This is a PC. This is not an Xbox. This is a PC. And it's finally clicking in my brain. Every fucking issue that you have with a computer, compatibility issue, is going to be on this thing. Meanwhile, I turn this on and Windows is like ants. They're ants copying, pasting, moving files while I'm just trying to get to the control panel. That makes me absolutely want to smash this thing against the wall, but I won't because I need to get my $1,000 back. And I'll tell you right now, 110%, I am returning this thing. Microsoft.
Okay. Right. So we listen to this person, right? First of all, listen, people. We really have to normalize posting the link if you're going to, especially do an edit on someone. Now, I did find the link. I think SPR found the link for me. So I will post the link to this person's review in the description of this particular video. So you can go and listen to his full thoughts. That was an edit, but I did listen to the original video myself. And that is a true edit of what he said. It's just that he, I think that it just cuts out some of the fluff in between because we all speak with fluff when we're talking, we're doing these kinds of a thing. So this person's experience was basically the hardware could be promising, but Windows is the issue. And this is something that I had said way back when. This is like way before people even had thought of an Xbox handheld. And I said that if Xbox were to make a handheld, the last thing or the very first thing they should do is not make it run on Windows. Because I am telling you, people, and I say this so many times, people think that I'm joking or I'm exaggerating or I'm being a fanboy. Windows is miserable. PC is misery. And the reason that PC is misery is primarily to do with Windows. In fact, when I think about my PC, I like the look of my PC. I like the specs on my PC, but I do not feel like I'm getting the return on investment for the part, the money, the time, and the effort that it took for me to put this thing together. Like when I see the specs on paper and I see the result, I know that this operating system is gouging out at least 25% of the performance on a daily with everything. Windows is absolutely miserable. And I said, I remember I was on Podworks podcast, and I said the very first thing they should do is make sure that it runs a version of the Xbox operating system rather than Windows, because Windows was always going to be the thing. And this person describes an experience where he continues in his full video. You can check it out yourself, where not only do you have like an hour of updates and just logging on and putting Windows Hello and doing fingerprint scanning and logging into Microsoft accounts and doing a traditional laptop setup process, because the setup process for this device, despite being called an Xbox, despite me accepting it is an Xbox, it is a Windows operating system device. So it's the same setup process as you do for your regular laptop, your regular desktop, and everything like that. Then after the whole hour of doing that, of logging in and everything like that, right? You would think he's done, but no. Here come the BIOS updates. Here come the Asus Armory Crates updates. Here come the, let's do Windows updates. Oh, are there Windows update? Oh, is there one? Oh, now there's three. Is there three? Now there's 97, because it's like all the security updates. So it is an infuriating device. And here's the thing. This particular gentleman that we were listening to, he works in IT. And in his video, he goes on to say, like, I deal with computers all day. I have a big computer, I have a desktop rig, I have a Windows PC, and I put up with the troubleshooting and the maintenance and the upkeep of that PC because it is my main rig. I don't want another computer to upkeep. And man, I'm telling you, I felt that to the bottom of my soul. I have always said this, always. And I mean, naturally, I think this was like ever since 2013. I've always said, I want my girlfriend or my wife to use Apple devices. I do not want them on Android. I do not want them on Windows. And when people have always asked me this, they were like, oh, do you like those devices? I'm like, me personally, no. I don't like them. Like, I think my next laptop is going to be an Apple laptop, but I don't like it. I don't like the Mac operating system. It's just that I cannot be fucked dealing with another Windows device. And I always say that to people. I have so much time and upkeep maintaining my own devices. I don't want to maintain hers. I don't, because I'll be that guy, right? Even if she came from an IT field, I will be the guy who is like, oh, it's my job as a man to fix it, right? Macho or whatever it is. Toxic masculinity. But I will say it as my duty to help her troubleshoot her computer. And why would I want to do that if I could just pay my way into that not being a problem? Again, for me, I enjoy the more flexible nature of Windows. I enjoy some of the advantages. And it's a little bit like, I personally, I have a German car, right? I have like an old Audi A4, right? Very old, not even from this decade. And that has way more upkeep than like a Toyota or whatever. But it's just something about that car that I love, where I'm waiting to put up with it. If my little brother was like, oh, what car do I get? Oh, you're definitely getting a Japanese or a Korean car. I do not want to come and have to maintain your car. I do not want you to be pulled by the side of the highway. Like it was a few months ago. My car, just started shaking. Just the engine entirely. It turned out that it was one of those fuel injectors or something that oh god, I can't even remember what the part was called. But it turns out it was one of those. The fault cost me like $200 or some dollars to repair myself, because I had to just I didn't know which one it was, and there's four of them. So I decided to just replace all of them. I think it cost me about $300, but I didn't have to go to the mechanic because I put in the time myself to learn what the fault was, to buy one of those OBD scanners, to read the error myself, pretty much to just do the upkeep myself and to do the maintenance on my own. I actually enjoy the process of learning how the car works and everything like that, even though apparently I do not enjoy the process of remembering what the fix was. But still, that's something I'm willing to do for me. If it was for like another person's car, if it was, for example, a girlfriend's car, a wife's car, oh no, definitely not. Definitely not. You're getting a Lexus. If you want the premium brand, you're getting a Lexus because it's made by Toyota and they are supposed to be more reliable. Secondhand, of course, probably at least 5 years old because, make the finances work. But the point is, I don't want to give another German car in the fleet. No way. Even though I said that and I lie. Do you know why? Do you know what's petty about me? You know how the German cars in Australia, they put the indicator stalk on the left. Now, for people in the United States, I think the indicator stalk is on the left anyway, because that's the way that you guys are just normally driving, because you drive on the left side. But anyways, we drive on the right hand side of the car. and they do not want to flip the indicator stalk for us. So basically, if you have like Japanese car, the indicator stalk is on the right, which makes more sense in our market. But if you have German or European cars, they keep it on the left. In fact, some premium Asian car brands like a Lexus or a Genesis, some of them, okay, I'm not saying that those particular brands, but some of them will put their indicator stock deliberately on the left because it's some kind of like idea about prestige or whatever. It's inconvenience, okay? It shouldn't be on the left. It just happens to be. But one of the things that I personally try to do, I've influenced my family to, is that we all have European cars. Do you know why? Because I'm petty and I don't want to have to remember which side of the wheel the indicator stalk is, because I happen to drive the cars often enough that I don't want to go through the trouble. Like, I don't know, once every 3 months I'll be driving my sister's car or my mother's car or whatever for whatever reason, and I don't want to be that idiot just activating the wipers instead of educating. Okay, to me it's a safety issue, I'll have you know, because if I'm trying to merge into traffic, I don't want to be that guy driving a BMW and then suddenly he doesn't indicate. So I'm trying to remove the stereotypes. In fact, I'm doing the world a favor. Okay, but because of that reason, I will probably have to pull up with another European car, even if it was for a partner. So yeah, I'm petty. That's petty as fuck. So, anyways, what we've decided is that Emmanuel has a great character and should not at all improve that about himself. Okay, great. Let's return to the Xbox, right? So, this person hated the Windows experience, but now we have this other article which I want to go into because I think it's quite fascinating. Because with the first person that we just watched, I think he has an excuse to not be in the know about exactly what this device was going to be. If you listen to his full video, you're going to see that he has many hopes that it will be pretty much the Xbox operating system, just on with a desktop component attached to it. Like, hey, I can pretty much go into Xbox OS, and then if I want the flexibility of Windows for whatever reason, it can switch to that operating system, and then I can pull up with whatever Windows is throwing at me. He didn't know that the Xbox full screen experience, as they called it, was pretty much just an app or a program. Remember we used to call programs? That was nice. I miss program. Anyways, pretty much just an app inside of the Windows 11 OS. Okay, let's take a look see at this article. All right, let's increase some of this thing because I know it can be small on a smaller screen. Oh, right, I lost my ability to scroll because Windows, by the way. Oh, don't you love it? It was working fine 2 days ago. Now it doesn't work anymore. Okay, Dalton Cooper. So he's the managing editor of Game Rant. Okay, and he's been writing about video games professionally since 2011. So how did you not know what this device was going to be? I don't know, man. Let's continue. As someone that primarily games on Xbox, why? I had cautious optimism about the ROG Xbox Ally X. Why? The idea of being able to take my Xbox library on the go was very appealing, but more than that, it will be a convenient way to play online co-op and multiplayer games with my wife in the same room without having to get another Xbox console or drag out another TV. I was shocked by the absurd $1,000 price tag for the ROG Xbox Ally X, but figured in the long run, I will still get enough use out of it to ultimately justify the cost. So I want to pause there. I think that out of all of the criticism leverage at this device, the price tag is one of the most unfair ones. Listen, a $1,000 price tag is a sticker shock. But if you are shocked by that sticker, then that's a you problem. Like, straight up, I would defend the price tag of this product. Why would I defend it? Let me tell you. Years before this device was even rumored, people said, remember when the PlayStation Portal came out? People said that, oh, Sony should make the PlayStation Portal Pro and basically allow you to play PlayStation 5 games natively. And I said at that time, again, on PortalWorks channel, I should start saying things on my channel, but we'll get there. I said at that time that if you were to take a PlayStation 5 and miniaturize the tech, okay, such that it could run games natively on that SoC, natively in your hand, it will be at least $900. And people laughed at me. And I said to them, like, I don't understand why you're laughing when these PC handhelds, like the ROG, the Asus ROG Ally, the first version without the Xbox tag, was, swimming around the $800 to $900 price tag. And I said, just look over there at what they have to do at the price that they have to release it at, and understand that Sony isn't like, I know that they have like really great engineers, but the laws of physics, they have to still respect them. They don't live in a different dimension than us. So they will have to release a product around that price point, and a handheld from Sony is not going to sell enough to justify them taking a loss and doing a subsidy on the product. So you'll be looking around the $900 to $1,000 handheld. I said this years before this particular product came out. And it's like, I hate the fact that the people that write professionally, they never seem to have this level of forethought to just look around at what the other devices and hardware, or what the other industries have had to do in order to achieve that. I think people are so proud of the ignorance. They are proud of simply just staying in the bubble and refusing to look outside it as a matter of like pride, basically. And they just refuse to be like, how would you before this particular Xbox that just came out, right? There was the ROG Xbox Ally version 3 or whatever. That thing already cost $900. So you're saying that Microsoft now comes in and they're working with Asus and they create brand new hardware in terms of the shape of the device. They have to engineer that and everything like that. They add a button, they put their own name and branding and the Xbox app full screen experience, whatever you call it, on top of that, and you think somehow it's going to be a cheaper product. Who's going to subsidize that? It's not going to be subsidized by Asus because they only make money on the actual sale of the hardware. And it's not going to be subsidized by Xbox because most of you will not even download games from the Xbox app. You will download games from Steam because that's really what you're excited about doing. People, it's funny because part of the reaction of the community has been to show a bunch of PlayStation games running on this particular device. That means that you're not getting that from the Xbox app. Microsoft cannot monetize you. You are going over to Steam, a competing storefront to Microsoft's own, and that's where you're doing most of your business. So it makes no sense for Microsoft to subsidize this. It makes even less sense for Asus to subsidize it. So how did you think that a $900 device that was going to be iterated upon, apparently improved upon, was going to be cheaper than the model you just replaced? Like, I'm sorry, but again, either you didn't know. Now you're listening personally to the video. Maybe you didn't know, and you had every right not to know. But this Dalton Cooper, right? Managing editor for professionally writing since 2011. That's 14 years in the business. You have no excuse not to know. And you have no excuse to be shocked by the price tag. And you have no excuse to even be like, oh, I can justify it. No, the price tag is justified. You don't have to justify it. It is justified. For all of the criticism that our people will make about this particular device, the price tag is not a valid one. Again, for the average Joe, for the average person that is not in the know, that doesn't think about these things, that doesn't write professionally about these things, that's perfectly fine. Your reaction is genuine, it is valid, it is good, right? No matter how bad your reaction is. But for a person that's supposed to be in this business, to breathe it day in and day out, for you to be like, oh, it's absurd that it's $1,000. Like, where do you get off? That makes no sense. So I just had to say that. Okay, let's see. Over here, I don't even think. You know what? I think this. Hold on, I can use my tablet over here. Let me see. Oh, there we go. We can scroll this way. Okay, so it says there the Xbox ROG Ally has been presented as an Xbox handheld, when that is clearly not what it is. The ROG Ally X is the ROG Ally with the Xbox branding slapped on it and the Xbox quote-unquote full-screen experience built in. It seems like it's aimed at Xbox fans, but it isn't really. If you are someone that has built up a large library of games on Xbox consoles, don't make the same mistakes that I did and pick up the ROG Xbox Ally X, assuming that you can truly access that library on the handheld without having to resort to cloud streaming. Again, man, when you do argument analysis or language analysis in school, they make you realize that the author has a lot of basically authorial input over the words that they say, right? So sometimes it's not the words that are said, it is who says them. For a regular lay person to assume that the ROG Xbox Ally X, being called an Xbox, would somehow have a good propagation or a good native ability to play the Xbox library directly, that's perfectly fine because you're not in that business. But for Dalton, I'm disappointed. And this is why I don't want to read games from these big publications or the reviews or anything like that, because I'm like, you're bad at your job. For you to have assumed this thing, that just makes you bad at your job. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. How did you assume it? How do you not know? You've been living and breathing this since 2011. How is it that people on podcasts, YouTubers, people that have jobs otherwise, right? And they talk about these things, how are they having more intelligent conversations than you? And you were just assuming that, oh, look, it says Xbox on the box, so therefore this is true. Like, you have no insight into the industry, really. You have no ability to think for yourself and to predict that, oh, this thing isn't really going to be what it purports to be. Like, we all saw this coming. Out of all the people that are watching this particular video right now, I'll bet 85% of you knew that this was not going to be the reality. So how did Dalton not know it? I don't know, man. Whatever. ROG Xbox Ally isn't a real handheld Xbox experience. No shit. Despite owning games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Borderlands 4 on Xbox, I can't download them on my ROG Xbox Ally X. Instead, I have to stream them through the cloud. Since the Borderlands 4 split screen experience isn't ideal, I was hoping to use the handheld to play on the screen on my own while my wife could stick with the TV. The cloud streaming works fine enough most of the time, but there's no denying that the experience will be more stable and better if I were able to download the Xbox game I own on the Xbox branded handheld. It also means that I can't play a lot of my Xbox games on the go, which is one of the main reasons to get a handheld in the first place. I'm sure you can play most of your PC games. So, since you bought a PC handheld, why don't you just go and download Steam and, start building your Steam library? It's not the fault of the device that you made the wrong assumption. Again, I will defend them on this point, okay? It's not the fault of the device. Now, is it slightly scummy for Microsoft to have propagated that idea? Sure, but again, for you, Dalton, I'm glad they took money from you. Like, okay, everybody that didn't know, I hope they return the device, but I hope you keep it as a teachable moment because you should have known better. And you know what? People like you, sometimes you just gotta live with your mistakes. There's just me. I'm being kind here. Okay. Another game that I hope to play. Anyways, he goes on to say that the whole device disappointed him and blah 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 blah. When really he should only be disappointed in himself. Again, Dalton Cooper, you should need to do better. You need to do better. You're managing editor. What are you managing? What are you editing? Like, for that little knowledge, I would expect better. Okay, so listen again. A lot of the tech YouTubers have given glowing reviews. A lot of people have created the caveats, or it's not an Xbox, or it's not an Xbox experience, or it's an Xbox in name only. But it's how the community has reacted to this, And just the other day, the Xbox account, I think it was the UK one. They posted like this is an Xbox ad, and people people were not vibing with it whatsoever. They did not like that particular post. Here is where part of my contribution was into this whole affair, right? So there's this entire ordeal going on. Let me check about this thing. Let's go. Oh, by the way, if you don't follow me on the Twitters, go ahead and do so. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. So here is my particular input here. So an interesting happened. Amazon is obviously a big place where people buy things and everything like that. It's also quite big in Australia. And first, Amazon does not officially carry the Xbox Ally X. They don't officially sell it. In fact, I'm not even sure how Amazon officially sells things, but point is they don't really have it there. But they do have the smaller one, not the smaller one, but the whiter one, the ROG Xbox Ally, standard. Now, notice that these prices are going to be in Australian dollars because there's a conversion rate. So even though this is $600 US, it is $1,000 Australian, or 997 according to Amazon. But I wrote here, it may be an Xbox, but it's not selling. This offer for $150 Australian promotion credit is only applicable to the first 100 purchases and has been up for only 16 hours, for at least 16 hours at the time. It's still active. This is based on Amazon Australia. So here's a screenshot. Okay, so there we go. And you can see here that it is about $1,000 Australian. You see here the savings, it says $150 Amazon promo credit. Okay, and then over here is basically the thing. Now here are the terms and conditions. So this is the part where it says the offer is limited to the first 100 units and it will expire on the 31st of October at pretty much midnight, right? So that's basically it, okay? So that was the thing, and I was inferring that this thing hasn't even sold 100 units in Australia, in all of Australia, you know? So this particular handheld is not selling. It's an Xbox, but it's not selling. In fact, you could say not selling makes it officially more of an Xbox than anything else, really. That was a cheap shot, but I'm glad I took it. I'm happy with myself. Okay. Now, by the way, some guy, some I don't know, some Neanderthal, say that I was making things up, that I had a fake screenshot. Now, I showed him that here is a video of me literally showing that, many hours later, I wasn't creating a fake screenshot, but I want to do the social proof even now, right? So here we are. This is an Amazon page. Here it is. Let me refresh so that you guys, know that I'm not loading something from cache. Okay, so there it is. Refresh again. Refresh one more time, right? Okay, and this is a genuine Amazon, thing. Okay, so over here, if we come, let's just type in Xbox Ally X so that you guys can see here. This one doesn't even seem to be from an official seller, but this one is also quite new. But this is the one I was talking about, right? It has a prime tick over here, and it is coming here at $1,000 Australian, remember, right? So if you click in here, you can see here that this savings is still here. That $150 promotion credit, the terms and conditions, okay, are still just for the first 100 units, okay? Now, it's a little bit hard for you if you're on the screen, sorry, on a small screen to see that, but yeah, it's still the first 100 units. So it's been days since I made that tweet, and it is still available. It is still here. It still hasn't sold 100 units. And over here, another person took offense with the whole #1 bestseller tag. I can tell you from from experience on Amazon, it is not it is not a tag that you want to necessarily use as social proof, because quite often I think that people just pay for it, to be honest. I think this is just a made up thing. Now, if you click in this particular category, I guess these things are not really selling that much, because some people also took offense to that, like, oh, you say that it's not selling and yet it is the #1. But again, when was the last time that you looked for Windows all-in-one PCs and I guess some Mac stuff, and you were buying Mac stuff specifically from Amazon? I don't know. I don't know. I guess if you sold like 10 units, it would still be on top of all of these things. So maybe it is genuine and it's just like a really hyper specifically low bar category, right? But basically here it is. There's a proof. It is still hasn't sold in Australia, in the entire country. It still hasn't sold 100 units. And that was my, discussion to the community, because again, I have no need to lie to you, okay? Like, and people took such offense to this tweet, like, oh, I was saying that, so a few people said, I was saying that the Xbox Ally X isn't selling, right? But again, I haven't mentioned the Xbox Ally X. It's only the Xbox Ally that I've mentioned, because that's the thing that's not selling, okay? Another thing that people said is that, oh, I'm trying to apply this to the entire world, but I'm not, because I said this is based on Amazon Australia specifically, okay? Another thing about the Xbox Ally X is that EB Games, our, one of the biggest, distributor of game stuff for over here down in Australia, it doesn't carry the X. It also carries just the Xbox Ally, right? The ROG Xbox Ally. It doesn't carry the X variant, which is, again, strange. But yeah, it's just been a very fascinating thing. And a lot of people have also taken offense that, oh, nobody cares about Australia. Nobody. Listen, all of you Americans, can we stop this thing? Okay. You reveal data about your side of the world, right? We see Circana all the time, we see NPD all the time, we see all of these, Alinea analytics or whatever, and they primarily analyze either the UK, the Europe, or the American markets, right? Depending on, kind of how far they go into things. And nobody from the rest of the world complains. We understand that it is a data point, and that data point can be extrapolated somewhat to other territories, but maybe it doesn't represent everything. But the thing is, when we tell you what's happening in our corner of the world, suddenly we are supposed to be barred from the conversation. Again, I'm not trying to say that, oh, this device didn't sell in Australia, therefore it's not going to sell in the US. Different markets, different people, different behaviors. I think Xbox is a lot bigger as a brand in the US compared to in Australia, even though it is quite healthy in Australia still. But it is what it is, right? So please do not try to exclude me from the conversation because I come from a different geographical location to you. Because that was literally one of the reasons that I started speaking online about gaming is that a lot of Americans simply do not, consider the context of other places around the world. Like, the rest of the world doesn't exist. Like when I hear people say, for example, that, oh, the PlayStation 6 is going to cost $1,000, you realize that $1,000 is $1,600, $700 in Australian dollars. Like, you do not build a global brand, with that kind of price tag, especially considering that whilst America has a lot of issues, one of the things is that generally people are, despite the very low federal minimum wage, a lot of people find themselves in jobs where they are paid relatively high salaries that they can spend as disposable income on little luxuries like a console or whatever. Cost of living is a bit different, but whatever. But the point is, you're typically higher earners than, let's say, a person even in Europe. People in salaries in Europe are typically quite a bit smaller. Now, the cost of living is also smaller, but when you take a look at the entire pool, it can be harder for a person in Europe to justify the equivalent of $1,000 versus, let's say, an American citizen. So again, like, you do not ever think about the experience beyond your own borders because the entire world can revolve around this country, which is the size of a continent. And so it is what it is. But then other voices have something to contribute, specifically talking in this example about my own. So listen, people, go and follow me on the Twitters, and you can see a whole different side of the gaming conversation that is often ignored, okay? Or when people say that physical discs are going to go away by next thing because, oh, in America it's like 70% digital or 80% digital. I'm like, yeah, but then in other places around the world it's like 80% physical. And again, if you're a global brand like Sony is trying to make PlayStation, or I mean, it always is that, but they're trying to like really lean further into that. Yeah, you do not take away the option, at least the option of giving true physical access. Because, yeah, I believe that the next PlayStation console, the PlayStation 6, is going to be a digital only console as a standard feature with attachable disk drive, just like they did for the new PlayStation 5 Slim and the PlayStation 5 Pro. I see no reason why they would drop that particular support or that kind of like design philosophy, because it makes a lot of sense. For them, they can just manufacture one specific SKU, and those of us who value physical media, just gonna slap it on, and then that's going to be the way that it goes. So yeah, I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I hope that you guys listen, PlayStation fans, let them have it. And one last thing that I want to say is, as you are seeing the Xbox house burn, right? Pretty much, I want you to think, not just at pointing and laughing at them, but I want you to really look at the embers, okay? That might be starting to I don't know, oxidize or whatever on the PlayStation's own house. Because that was the critical mistake that a lot of Xbox fans did. When we were there warning them, hey, this whole Game Pass thing, hey, this whole Halo Gears and Forza thing, hey, this whole Phil Spencer worship thing, hey, so on and so forth. These are things that might set your house on fire, and it's going to be an inferno there. It's going to crash to the ground. They refuse to listen to us. Make sure that we don't make the same mistakes, because let me tell you, this Hiroki Totoki thing, that guy needs to get fired. This whole oh, we don't believe in exclusives anymore. We're going to give our games to PC. We're going to give our games to Nintendo. We're going to give our games to Xbox. They've done all of these things under different thought philosophies and ideas and schemes and stuff, but they've done all of them. Be careful of that. Lots of exclusives will completely kill the PlayStation 2. Like, again, watch out for those coals and those embers and make sure they don't turn into a bonfire inside your kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Start watching out for that, because it's easy to point a laugh at, these people's misfortune because they've been warned for years and years and years, and now it's finally coming to fruition. That's cool. There's Schadenfreude in that, but do not ignore the problems in your own house. PlayStation fans, you need to send a message to Sony. You demand exclusivity. You are willing, in fact, you are demanding that they stop porting the games to PC, because that doesn't work for us anyway. That is, stop porting the games to PlayStation, to Xbox and to Nintendo. You need to really think about that, because I've seen a lot of strange defense of this particular moves that PlayStation is doing, and is giving me those kind of like Game Pass vibes when people were first warning people like, hey, this whole Game Pass then they thing, that's way too good of a deal for you to like champion it. Like, ironically, this is a bad thing. And they refuse to listen. So I'm warning you, man, this whole exclusivity thing, that should have you a lot worried. What Totoki said, that for PlayStation first party is no longer used as a market differentiator, but as a profit driver, that should have you hyper worried. Not just about whether the games will still come out, but about the quality level, the investment, the life, the soul. Do not be distracted by Ghost of Yote, because Ghost of Yote was made under the old, thought process. It was a game that was already like 80% of the way through by the time that he made those particular comments. So you can't be like, oh, look, Ghost of Yote is fine, see? No. You want to look at the games that started getting made in 2024, 2025, and then see how they come out in 5 or 6 years' time, and then be like, okay, well, how about those? Don't look at Wolverine. Wolverine started all the way back in 2021. Don't look at those games that are going to come in the next 2 or 3 years as indication that, oh, everything in the PlayStation house is okay. It is not an indication that. I'm not saying that things are burning down, but I'm saying that the things are going to come out for the next 2 or 3 years. Those are not those are not indicative of the quality that we will get 5 years from now. We need to keep a sharp eye and to make sure that things do not drop. And again, man, this whole exclusivity thing, no console, no platform such as PlayStation is immune to the constant degradation that will follow the abandonment of exclusives and exclusivity. Do not take that for granted and start acting upon it now. I will never go as far as sending an email to Sony to be like, oh, exclusives this, exclusive that. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to speak about it on Twitter. I am going to speak about it on YouTube. And I applaud the people that are actually putting that in an email so that, they make sure that hopefully PlayStation leadership sees this, because we don't want that shit. There is nothing to be gained for us in that. And that is only a dark word. So watch out for the things that are going on in your own house. Let the Xbox people call it an Xbox if they wish, even if you believe that it is a PC handheld masquerading as an Xbox. That's perfectly fine, and honestly, let's face it, it's closer to the truth. But stop arguing with them about whether it's an Xbox or not. Enjoy Ghost of Yote, enjoy the games, enjoy Clay Obscure Expedition 33, enjoy Hollow Knight Silksong, enjoy the many wonderful, amazing Game of the Year contending games that we have had. And if you're on Game Pass, they just released Keeper. I would like to know from you how that game is, because honestly, I think that Xbox now have the opposite problem that they used to have 5 years ago. Now they have so many games coming out that are literally coming out on top of each other. I think just in the next 2 months, they're going to have Keeper, which just came out, I think, Ninja Gaiden for Call of Duty Black Ops, which is going to swallow the entire world, and I think even just another one. I think there's like 4 titles coming from them in just the final 2 months, and none of the other 3 are going to be advertised besides Call of Duty. So, hey, listen, if you're on Game Pass, you've had a great year. You've been vindicated in that, so at least enjoy that. Okay, talk to you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed the video.